Yo, welcome to REXTECH, where we spread, where we share the good news of the cloud. I'm just here telling my stories. Today, I'll be telling you the story of why I almost quit my first cloud engineering job, right? It's a little personal. That's why I'm sitting here on my little sofa, trying to get a little personal with y'all. But it took about 2 years for me to land that first job, right? As a self-taught cloud engineer, from the time I begun my journey to when I first landed that first job, excited. Man, we took 2 years to get here. But that first week, it almost blew up in my face. I almost made the worst decision I could have ever made. And you may be looking at me now, looking at all I've accomplished, where I'm at right now, right? I'm at AWS, whatever. But that first week, I wasn't prepared for it. There was a lot of doubt that seeped in. I'm gonna take you through the journey, right? Of how I felt, what was going through my mind that led me to think like that, how I got out of that rut, and what helped me to kind of progress and get out of that and to where I'm at right now, right? So let's get to it. So during that time and even now, right, we have a plethora of people that talk about how to get a cloud engineering job, how to get a software engineering job in 6 months, in 3 months. It's all about how to get the job, buy my this, pay for this, so you can get the job in the quickest amount of time, okay? Now, you guys know my story. I went through a boot camp also, okay? And that helped accelerate my time for me to be able to land my first role. So I leveraged the boot camp and then boom, finally got the job, right? The thing is, with everyone preaching about landing a job, all these self-taught engineers, their only focus is landing a job. That's where all their effort is. To their defense, they can't really think about what's gonna happen when they land a job if they have to focus on first landing a job, right? That's a job of itself. Prepping, going through the journey of learning, upskilling, and then after you get enough skills, then you go into the process of job search, which is another job of itself. So you can't really prepare for what's gonna happen when you actually land that first job, when all you want to do is land the first job. I would say, okay, I get it, because I was the same way, right? But the thing is, we as an industry, these influences and these boot camps and these programs is all about landing a job, but they don't really prepare you adequately for how to keep the job, right? And I can tell you, I've talked to a lot of people. Listen, it's insane the amount of people that land these jobs, cloud jobs, DevOps engineer jobs, software engineering jobs, these tech jobs, and they can't keep the job. Because either one, they found out that, oh shoot, this is not really what I wanted it to be. This is not what I thought it would be. I spent a lot of time preparing for this, but it's too much. And they bounce, they give up, they jump out. And the other side of it is that they come in and they just can't meet the expectations of the organization. Okay, the organization hires them for potential, but they're not able to live up to that potential. So either they get fired or they don't make it past the onboarding phase. That is a true thing, right? And that is an area that no one is really attacking. No one is really helping people like me in that situation of, okay, when you get the job, what do you do to keep the job? What do you do to continue? How do you prepare mentally for that to succeed? Okay? When I first got the job, I still remember my manager was like, hey, we're not putting any heap of expectations on you. Right now, we want you to grow. We want you to learn. So coming out the gate, I was basically told, listen, you're here to learn. You're here to grow, right? But mentally, so this is where everything starts to play personally, right? We talk about imposter syndrome. A big portion of imposter syndrome comes from ourselves. We actually impose those amount of pressure, of stress, of expectation on ourselves. So when I first joined, my manager was like, hey, we don't expect anything for you. But me, I still felt the imposter syndrome because I was putting so much expectation on what I should deliver, what I should be able to do from early. So I remember that first week. So the organization I worked for was a startup organization, and we were working in a serverless architecture. right? So we're doing a lot of Lambda functions, okay, and using Python. I remember the first day looking at the architecture that was built for our entire platform. And everything was Lambda functions, serverless. This Lambda connected, this integration connected to this Lambda function is kicking off this event-driven task or whatever, right? And I'm like, okay, I kind of get that. But when I started reading Lambda functions, when I started reading the code, I was like, dude, I don't know what the heck is going on. I can't read nothing. Like, none of this makes sense. I remember doing a project with Lambda. I remember doing a project with API Gateway. I remember doing a project with DynamoDB, like, integrating those 3 serverless services. But I quickly realized writing code, your own code, developing code by yourself is completely different. And it's a different skill you have to learn of being able to read someone else's code, to read code that's written by another person, written for a different reason, written for a different purpose that has nothing to do with you. Can you jump into a code base and read and understand what's going on? I quickly realized the first day, I didn't have that skill at all, 0. I would read some stuff and I'm like, dude, this for loop that I should know, this for loop doesn't even make any sense to me. Like, what the heck is happening? And that is where the 2 years it took for me to get there flashed before my eyes. I remember how much work it took for me to get here. The sacrifice from people, time, money, weekends, days. I mean, I literally had no time for myself for the past 2 years. And the amount of effort I put in, the discipline, the obsessiveness, the persistence, the relentlessness, all of that, and I finally get the job and I realize everything I just did not prepare me to be job ready. And I'm like, dude, I just spent 2 years busting my butt and I get the job and I'm not job ready. I did a boot camp and I'm not job ready. And that's when I really started to look forward. If it took me 2 years and that amount of effort to get here, I'm now thinking 5 years in advance when I'm a senior engineer. How much more do I have to give of myself, of my life, for me to be able to become a senior engineer in 5 years? If, looking back for the past 2 years, how am I going to be able to double that, triple that, quadruple that to be able to make it to become a senior engineer? All of that was going through my mind the first week because I'm like, if I can't understand a for loop in Python, the basics, with 2 years of work, how am I going to become a senior engineer? What more am I going to give up? Do I need to forget my family? Do I need to forget every other passions I had, other hobbies? Am I going to be living on the computer from morning to night for me to become a senior engineer? Like, there's no way. I can't give up any more than I just gave up for the past 2 years. What do they expect of me? And that's when the doubt started to come in. That's when I started to think, I can't do this. Like, did I pick the right career? Is this really for me? That's when I started to question how much more I could give. So in that moment, I was like, yep, there's no way. There's no way I'm gonna make it. Like, these people are gonna see I'm a fraud. These people are gonna be like, we signed you on potential, but we don't see your potential. You can't even read a for loop. All of that was running through my head, right? And I remember the second day, I remember there was a lady who came through the same boot camp I went through, and she's been working in an organization for 9 months. She transitioned from a nursing background. And I'm like, how the heck did she make it to 9 months? And I remember she was posting a bunch of stuff on LinkedIn with Python. And I'm like, she went through the same program I went through, the same projects we did. She's 10 months in and she's doing Python stuff. I need to reach out to this woman because there's no way, like, I need to figure out how she made it this far, because this first week is insane. Like, there's no, I just can't see myself making it past the next week. There's no way. So I remember I messaged her. Listen, this was the best thing I could have ever done. It had to be God ordained for me to message her directly. I messaged her and I was like, basically I said, hey, listen, I see you killing it. You've been at your job for 9 months. Congratulations. I'm on my second day in this new job. I don't know what the heck is going on. I'm not sure if I made the right decision. I don't know if I'm thinking too much of it, but I need to know, what was the trick? What was the secret? What helped you to make it and stay for that long, coming from a non-technical background as a nurse? Like, I need to know. You won't believe what this woman told me. And it was the best thing she could have said. She told me, she said, when she first started the job, after the first week, I can't remember the timeline, it was like the first week, she sent in her resignation. Listen, when she sent me that, I was like, oh shoot, I guess I gotta do the same thing. But then afterwards, she was like, when she sent in her resignation, her manager basically declined her resignation and told her, listen, we brought you here for a reason. We know you're coming from a nursing background. We brought you here based off of potential. We want you to learn. We want you to grow. We're investing in you. We believe in you. It's just for you to start believing in yourself. We want you here and we don't want you to resign. We don't want you to quit. And when she told me that, I was like, huh. So this is not a new thing. This is not something that I'm the only one feeling. She felt it too. And she actually sent in her resignation. But thank God for her manager was like, yo, we're not gonna let you go. Stick it through. And she was there for like 9-10 months at that point, right? Flourishing, killing it. When she said, listen, no matter what you do, no matter how much you prepared for before, that first job, even if you have another job after, the first couple weeks of that first new job, it's going to feel like that. Okay? It's not something you can run away from, right? You're getting hit with a bunch of new stuff that you've never seen before, you've never had the context of. Yes, you may have the fundamentals of what is programming, how to program in Python, create a script or whatever. But when you enter inside an architecture that's been built for the past 4 years, because it's a startup that was at, right? And you just jump in, there's no way you're going to be able to, one, add value so quickly. There's no way you'll be able to really understand what is going on. Right now, you only take in small pieces of the picture. You don't understand the grand picture, the full picture of what is actually going on. And then you need to understand the skills that you lack. You still don't know the skills that you lack yet. Now you're at a job, you can focus on, okay, this is what I don't know. These are the skills I need to learn. I need to index quickly on finding out how I can learn this quickly and start helping out and adding value to the team. So when she told me that, I was like, man, that's crazy. And then I'm going to shoot another video to let you know exactly how boot camps, even colleges, do not prepare you to be job ready. So it's insane, right? Colleges don't prepare you to be job ready. How many persons have you heard? They've gone to school for 4 years, 5 years, and then their first job, they're like, this is nothing what I did in school. It may be a little bit of the foundations, but it's still a huge learning curve of going from schooling to going into the world and actually having a real job and getting paid and working hours and wages, right? It's completely different. So I never expected the boot camp. I never expected a program that's 6 months and accelerated so quick to be able to allow me to be job ready, because I know how it is for college. If you can go to school for 4 years and that doesn't prepare you to be job ready, how the heck would a boot camp prepare you to be job ready in 6 months? It's impossible. Okay. However, they prepare you for other things which you can utilize for when you do get the job. Okay. So I'm not saying they're a waste. There's a lot that you can get and gain from those programs, right? Because I went through it, okay? And I landed my first job literally because I went through the program. So I took what she said to heart. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to the drawing board, right? I remember I couldn't read Python. And I said, every single day, I'm going to look at the code that we have. I'm just going to start reading, trying to understand. And anything I don't understand, I will try to at least interpret. The next thing I would do, I would take a piece of the code base that I just read, adjust it and take away any sensitive information, put it inside ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to explain it to me. And whatever thought process I had before trying to read the code myself, I would cross-reference that with what ChatGPT was saying. So I was learning by myself, but also cross-referencing with ChatGPT. And that's one good thing ChatGPT is good for. It can explain code in ways that you can understand it. So I kept on doing that back and forth. I'll read code, try and understand it, and then I'll cross-reference it with ChatGPT. Keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. As I was going through this process, it still never felt like I was growing, right? Every single day I was doing and trying to read code, and it still didn't feel like, man, I'm getting better, right? But at the 4th week, I remember was so vivid. There was this new Lambda function that somebody on my team created, and they asked me to read it. And I started reading it. Listen, I got to line 60. I didn't even realize that I was reading it that quick. I was reading it. I got to line 60 and it hit me. I was like, yo, you're reading code. You're reading Python. And it took me until line 60 for me to realize that you're freaking understanding what is going on. And it hit me at that moment that every single incremental effort I was putting in each and every single day, though it didn't feel like I was getting better, because the data that would show that I was getting better was so small, each and every day I couldn't feel it. It was too small for me to realize that I am getting better. But when I compounded each day, on the 4th week, when I've compounded all my efforts, that's when I really got to understand how much I was growing, because I was able to read that long line of code. And that gave me a lot of motivation and inspiration. And that really helped me understand that, oh, this thing is not about knowing everything. This thing is about learning and growing. I'm like, okay, I understand. Nobody knows everything. It's about you learning and growing and getting better. I just need to keep putting effort in the areas where I need to grow. After I realized the whole framework of being in tech is not about knowing everything, but it's about understanding the areas where you don't know or where you lack on, and then finding those areas, indexing on them, learning, and making sure that those areas you're growing in them. Okay. Now you could also say, why didn't I lean on my team? Why didn't I ask my team for help and stuff like that? Listen to me. I'll tell you straight up. That was the best team I've ever been a part of in my life. It was a startup. Listen, I would go through a brick wall for the team that I was with. Our team gelled so well, so collaborative. Listen, any complex project, any complex challenges we had, we were able to solve it just because our team was so cohesively working together. There was only 3 of us on the cloud engineering team. There was my manager and 2 cloud engineers. It was insane, right? So you may say, okay, if your team works so well together, why didn't you ask them for questions? Why did you feel like you could quit? Like they weren't helping you? Listen to me. A lot of the imposter syndrome, a lot of the doubt that I had was being instilled from me. I'm a high performer, right? Being a professional athlete, I've been pushing myself to the highest limits. Being a high performer, training at the highest level, performing at the highest level, coming into this job and realizing that you're not ready to perform at a high level yet, you're still crawling. So that's why I was feeling that way. It wasn't because of my team. It wasn't because of my manager. It wasn't because of the organization. It came to a point where I didn't really care if I knew everything anymore. I was just saying, put me on and we figure it out together. And that's how I grew exponentially. I remember around 8 months in that role, one of my friends asked me for a resume example, right? So I had an updated resume because I don't know for you, but for me, any significant thing I do, I always write it down. And when I write it down at the end of the week, I update my resume. My resume is being updated almost every single week. Not because I want another job, it's just because I know a lot of the stuff I'm gonna forget. So if I don't write it down, if I don't update my resume, these things would be hard for me to remember when it's time. Let's just say I get laid off, right? Or let's just say I'm looking for a new role. So when I sent my resume to my friend, this person was working in big tech, which is crazy because why are you coming to me for resume work and help when you work at big tech? You work at FANG, dude, what the heck? And I remember sending it to him. And this person was working 2.5 years at a FANG company. And when he saw my resume, he was like, bro, you've been in this organization for what, 7 months? How the heck did you do all of this already? How did you touch all these projects? How did you touch all these services? I've been at this organization for 3 years. I haven't done none of this. What the heck? Like, how do you have that much ownership for you to be able to lead and work on this type of stuff? And I had to tell him, like, bro, I'm working at a startup. There's only 3 of us. I wear like 10 hats. And yes, I got signed on as an associate, like a junior engineer, someone who's just entry level, but the work I'm doing is senior level. When my manager assigns something to me, he doesn't give me the task to complete it. No. He gives me like what he wants at the end, and I have to figure out the different tasks of how do I get there. So he gives me the end product, and I have to work backwards on the different steps on creating a design, creating some type of architecture, creating some type of solution that is going to allow us to achieve the objective at the end, right? And that's senior level stuff. When someone gives you a business requirement and you have to break it down on how you're going to solve this with technology, how are you going to solve this with a solution? I was doing that 6 months in because of the environment I was in, which was a startup. There was only 3 of us working on our team. And as crazy as that was the best thing that could have happened to my career, right? The amount of growth I made in 11 months when I got promoted, it was crazy. And that was my first promotion ever in any job. And I got promoted in a new career, new job. And within the first week, I wanted to quit. So that's such my story to y'all, man. Listen, those who are looking to land your first job, just know that when you do land the first job, don't be so surprised the first week when you literally feel like you know nothing, okay? And the first 4 to 6 weeks, it's going to feel like hell. It's going to feel like you don't understand what's going on. It's going to feel like you're juggling a bunch of stuff, but everything you're juggling, one ball is about to fall over, so you can't really manage anything yet, right? It's just a process. You have to go through it. The onboarding process of landing a new job from a different career and an engineering job, you have to go through the fire of the first 6 weeks, okay? Now, I'm telling you to expect it. It is going to come. And when it does come, for you to be able to get through it is for you to be able to understand that this is normal. The way how I'm feeling is okay. I just need to push through it. I will sooner or later be able to manage it. But obviously at the beginning, you will not be able to. Those first 6 weeks is going to be fire. Just expect it, okay? Just expect it. And it's not going to be the end of the world. Just push through it. Push through it. It's going to feel like you're tearing your hair out. It's going to feel like you're grinding your teeth. But I'm telling you, it will get better. You just have to push through it. It is a time of growth. It is a time of stretching. It is a time of finding out not just what you're made of, but revealing to yourself different levels you didn't think or fathom that you could actually go to. That's the crazy part, is that you think that this is all you have. And then after 6 months, you realize, oh shoot, I remember the first week, I couldn't even do this. Now I'm tackling projects. Now I'm tackling challenges that's like 10 times what I was struggling with the first 3 weeks. So there's a level of growth that you have to go through, and it's going to be a lot of pain, but you just have to go through it. You just have to go through it. All right. So, I mean, that's my story. I'm done talking. This is REXTECH signing out. You know, I have other videos of so much other stories that I would tell. But we're sharing the good news of the cloud, and I'm helping y'all in your journey. There is other technical stuff that are coming, but I just really want to share my stories because I feel like this is very impactful, because what I went through was not just for me. I'm here to share what I went through for the reasons, 1, so you don't have to go through it too. Number 2, so if you do go through it, you know how to maneuver it and you know what to expect. So the errors that I made, you don't have to make it. All right, so I'm gonna see y'all later, all right? Peace.